Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to discuss about the book The Ikigai Journey, which is a sequel to the popular book Ikigai. While coming to the concepts mentioned in the book, the first book Ikigai gives us a basic point and understanding about what does Ikigai really means. And now coming to the second book, The Ikigai Journey, it focuses on applying the Ikigai in our daily life. In other words, it is an actionable guide for us. And the Ikigai Journey consists of 35 lessons, and each of those 35 lessons is based on a specific concept, and that specific concept when applied in our daily life will help us to reach our specific goals. In other words, applying the ikigai in our daily life. The book is divided into three parts: the future Tokyo, the past Kyoto, and the present Ise. The first part, the future, consists of 14 lessons. When coming to the second part, the past, consists of 6 lessons from lesson 15 to lesson 20. And now coming to the final part, the present, where the lessons 21 to 35 are placed. The book also tells that the ikigai is not something that is fixed, rather, it is something that can be changed. For example, when you are 18 years old, your ikigai is completely different when compared with yourself who is 70 years old. Coming to one of the first concepts mentioned in the book, Shinkansen bullet train thinking. And this process is about thinking in a different way. For example, let's say you are focusing on improving a train model so that the train runs 10 kilometers faster than the previous model. In that situation, small improvements can be better, but while compared with other situation where the train should run 100 kilometers or even 200 kilometers faster than the previous model, your thinking should be completely different because small changes will not work in that specific situation. And that is also the main essence or the main importance of this thinking bullet train thinking method. As mentioned in the book, if you have a goal of completing the task in 10 years, you need to find a way to complete the task in 1 year. After you have written down the goal you want to reach in 1 year, you need to write down additional 10 steps which will help you to reach that goal in that certain time frame. Let's understand this topic with an example from the book. If you want to speak in front of 1,000 people, then you need to master public speaking. And to master public speaking, you need to first do research. And to do research, the first thing you need to do is to buy public speaking books. And other point is you can watch YouTube videos about public speaking and famous people who are speaking in front of public. And by learning from the YouTube videos and learning from the books, you need to apply the concepts of public speaking. And to apply the concepts, you need to set yourself a small group of people where you are consistently practicing. For example, your colleagues, your friends, or even some people in your neighborhood from 10, 20, 30 people, or even some group of people where you are constantly practicing. And by doing those steps, you are setting yourself to speak in front of 1,000 people. Additionally, after writing down the list of 10 things you are going to do to reach that goal, you need to write down three things for each of those 10 things. Those three things are: what are you going to do, how are you going to do, and when are you going to do. Let's understand this point with an example mentioned in the book. When you have a specific goal of speaking in front of 1,000 people, you wrote down list of 10 activities that you are going to do to reach that goal. And now coming to the first activity is to buying a public speaking book. And now coming to that specific one activity, you need to answer these three questions. The first question is, what are you going to do? You are going to buy a public speaking book. How are you going to do? You are going to ask suggestion from the bookstore owner or any other person who is an expert in public speaking or who knows what is the best book to read and understand about public speaking. And now coming to the final step, when are you going to do? You need to set a time for yourself to do that specific task. For example, 2:30 p.m. the next day afternoon. The points mentioned before is from the first lesson. There are 35 lessons from the book, and each of those lessons covers a specific topic about applying our ikigai in our personal life. This is not a book which can be read once and kept it in some corner. You are supposed to read the book and understand the concept and apply the concepts regularly in your life. So, in other words, I advise you to purchase a physical copy of the book, and you can constantly check one of the concepts from the 35 lessons and apply the most relevant concepts in your daily life. That's all for this video, everyone. See you next time. Thank you.